The Stoic's Guide to Absence, Creating Irresistible Allure and Authentic Self-Mastery. Have you ever found yourself consumed by the thought, how can I make her miss me? Perhaps it's an ex you yearn to reconnect with, someone who seems to be drifting away, or a woman you're dating but haven't quite reached that next level of intimacy with yet. The truth is, making her miss you isn't about resorting to manipulative tactics or blindly following the generic advice that everyone seems to offer. It's about flipping the script entirely, in a way that feels both effortless and completely natural. And here's a profound twist: what if the secret to making her miss you isn't solely about her, but primarily about you? There exists a timeless philosophy that holds the key to mastering this delicate balance, one that places unwavering emphasis on focus, self-control, and the art of creating irresistible intrigue. If you're curious to discover this approach, then stick around, because by the end of this exploration, you'll not only know exactly how to make her miss you, but you'll also understand precisely why it works on a much deeper, more transformative level. Before we begin, consider subscribing to this channel. Every video is a step towards developing a Stoic mindset, mastering your relationships, and taking control of your dating life. Stop being the backup plan. A fundamental mistake that far too many men make is acting like a constant safety net. You know the scenario, always texting her with a casual, "Hey, how's it going?" thinking this will perpetually keep you in her thoughts. Spoiler alert, it absolutely doesn't. What you're actually doing is unequivocally positioning yourself in the dreaded fallback guy zone. When she perceives you as her plan B, she won't fully respect or genuinely desire you. You simply become the guy she turns to when all of her other, more exciting plans inevitably fall through. And let's be brutally honest, nobody aspires to be that guy. Another common misstep is being way too obvious in your attempts to win her over. Many guys try to bring back old memories, often saying something along the lines of, "Remember that amazing time we had," thinking it will magically reignite her dormant feelings. But, quite frankly, that can come across as blatantly manipulative and try-hard. It's akin to watching an overly sentimental movie where the director is shamelessly trying to make you cry. You instinctively resist it precisely because it feels so forced and contrived. So, if trying too hard doesn't work, what does? This is where things become significantly more interesting. The secret lies in mastering the art of detachment, a core principle of Stoicism. The underlying idea is remarkably simple yet profoundly effective. When you consciously stop clinging to specific outcomes and instead begin valuing yourself first and foremost, everything starts to organically change. It's not about actively ignoring her or resorting to manipulative, playing hard to get tactics. It's about cultivating a vibe that's so deeply grounded, so inherently confident, and so genuinely self-assured that she can't help but subconsciously wonder what makes you so fundamentally different from every other guy she knows. And here's the ultimate twist: one of the most powerfully effective ways to make her miss you is to intentionally set the tone right from the very beginning. This isn't something you passively wait to do when she's already starting to pull away. It's about proactively establishing a connection that's so irresistibly strong yet so effortlessly detached that she can't stop thinking about you, even when you're not physically present. Want to know precisely how to create that magnetic pull? The secret might just surprise you. Create emotional triggers. Let me share a somewhat unconventional secret. It's all about carefully creating specific emotional triggers, those subtle yet powerful little things that effortlessly sneak into her mind and remind her of you when she least expects it. Think of it like planting a memory seed that unexpectedly blooms later on in her consciousness. One super simple way to do this is through scent memory. Our sense of smell is exceptionally powerful when it comes to triggering long-forgotten memories. If you have a signature cologne or scent that you consistently wear around her, that distinct scent becomes inextricably tied to you in her mind. Then, the next time she smells it, whether on someone else or just passing by a particular store, it will instantly make her think of you. Here's the crucial trick, though: pick a scent that's unique and distinctive, but still somewhat familiar and appealing. It shouldn't be so incredibly rare that she almost never encounters it again, but it also shouldn't be so ridiculously popular that every other guy is wearing it. That way, when she unexpectedly catches a whiff of it somewhere, it creates a powerfully personal connection that her brain can't easily ignore. Another brilliant move is to create inside jokes. Develop those little shared moments that only the two of you truly understand, funny jokes, random nicknames, or recurring silly references. These are like private treasures that no one else can fully appreciate. So, when something unexpectedly reminds her of one of those uniquely shared moments, it will likely hit her particularly hard. She'll consciously remember not just the joke itself, but also, more importantly, how you made her feel. And that feeling is something that no one else can ever truly replicate. Here's where the principles of Stoicism once again become strikingly relevant. Think about it. The Stoics believed in leaving a lasting positive impact through meaningful, intentional actions, not through hollow grand gestures or superficial displays. By deliberately focusing on subtle but undeniably powerful ways to consistently create these emotional triggers, you're effectively channeling the same core idea. You're demonstrating that true influence doesn't come from desperately trying too hard to impress someone or overwhelming them with constant attention. It stems from skillfully planting small, uniquely meaningful moments that linger long after you've physically stepped away. Now, keep in mind that effective timing is absolutely essential in this endeavor. These moves need to happen relatively early on, while you're still an active and positive presence in her life. If she's already started to consciously pull away, it might, unfortunately, be too late to meaningfully turn things around. However, if she's still in the picture, even casually, you still have valuable time to subtly influence her perceptions. Even something as seemingly trivial as changing your signature cologne can unexpectedly spark a powerful reaction. It's all about being intentional, carefully planning ahead, and maintaining a calm, self-assured presence. Remember, the Stoics taught us to master the things that are within our sphere of control. By skillfully creating these subtle yet powerful connections, you're subtly shaping the way she consciously remembers you, calmly, confidently, and without ever needing to desperately chase her attention. Know when to walk away. Here's a powerful truth that deserves your unwavering attention. Knowing when to walk away matters just as much as knowing what to say. Too many guys operate under the false assumption that sticking around for longer will inevitably build a stronger, more enduring connection. But that's simply not how true attraction organically works. The real magic consistently happens when you skillfully leave her wanting more. Picture this scenario: you've successfully reconnected with someone who had previously started pulling away, or perhaps your ex has finally responded to your persistent messages. Things are clicking, the conversation is flowing naturally, and that unmistakable spark seems to be miraculously back. Everything seems to be going perfectly, but then what inevitably happens? Most guys understandably panic. They desperately cling to that fleeting moment of reconnection for dear life, subconsciously thinking, if I can just keep this going, she'll undoubtedly feel even closer to me. But that's precisely where things often go disastrously wrong. The hard truth is that sticking around for too long is often a surefire way to completely ruin what was otherwise a promising situation. Instead of leaving her consciously wanting more, you slowly, almost imperceptibly, start coming off as subtly needy and overtly desperate. What happens next is as predictable as it is painful. Your perceived value suddenly takes a nosedive. Let me break this down further for you. Think of the situation like climbing a steep hill. The vibe is fantastic, the chemistry is palpable, and you've successfully reached the peak of the climb. But if you stubbornly insist on sticking around past that exhilarating high point, you're no longer climbing anything, you're inevitably sliding uncontrollably downhill. Suddenly, she's unconsciously picking up on subtle hints of desperation in your tone and demeanor. And then it inevitably hits rock bottom when you desperately say something along the lines of, "Why can't we just give this another shot?" Boom. Attraction instantaneously gone. So, what's the optimal move in this scenario? Learn to consistently leave on a distinct high note. When everything is genuinely clicking, that's your prime moment to skillfully step away. Don't stubbornly drag it out or desperately try to extend the interaction. Always be the one who confidently decides when the conversation or hangout has ultimately ended, even if she was the one who initially initiated it. Wrap things up while the energy is still demonstrably fun, light-hearted, and exciting. Why? Because if she intuitively feels like she didn't quite get enough of you, she'll inevitably be left consciously wanting more. That carefully controlled bit of lingering mystery inherently keeps you on her mind. But the second she feels like she's gotten her full fix of you, you immediately lose the upper hand. This isn't rocket science, but it's undeniably easy to mess up if you're not consciously aware of the underlying dynamic. Skillfully knowing precisely when to leave can be the defining difference between her obsessing over when she'll next hear from you and slowly, almost imperceptibly, forgetting that you even exist. Always leave while you're still ahead. Consciously let her crave that next magical moment with you. That's how you successfully stay consistently unforgettable. Eliminate social media stalking. Let's get unequivocally real for a moment. Stalking someone, especially on social media, is one of the absolute quickest ways to completely ruin your chances with virtually any woman. And it's not just about consciously avoiding being perceived as that creepy, overly obsessive guy, it's also fundamentally about saving your own sanity in the process. Trust me, obsessively tracking her every move will do nothing but relentlessly drive you straight into an emotional meltdown. Here's precisely why. The moment you start subconsciously scrolling through her various social media posts, you're inevitably walking directly into a minefield of mental traps. You see her smiling in a picture with some random guy, and your brain instantly goes into overdrive, frantically asking questions like, who is he? Are they dating? Is that her new boyfriend? You'll take something utterly meaningless and subconsciously turn it into a full-blown drama unfolding entirely within your own head. And before you even realize it, you're caught in a relentless downward spiral of self-doubt and paranoia. Now, ask yourself sincerely, is that kind of self-inflicted emotional chaos really worth it? Spoiler alert, it undeniably isn't. If you're genuinely trying to play it cool and reconnect with her on a genuine level, this type of behavior is categorically the last thing you actually need. But there's more to it than simply wrecking your mindset. Stalking also makes it virtually impossible to effectively hide how much attention you're actually giving her. When you subconsciously know every minute detail about her daily life, like precisely where she went last weekend or with whom she's currently hanging out, you'll inevitably slip up and inadvertently reveal far too much information. You'll casually mention something like, so, how was that concert, thinking you're being subtly smooth and clever. But instead of being genuinely impressed by your apparent thoughtfulness, she's more likely thinking, wait, how does he even know I was there? And just like that, you've completely exposed yourself, rendering your efforts instantly null and void. Then, there's the ever-present issue of your interactions on social media themselves. Liking all of her posts immediately after she uploads them, constantly commenting on her pictures, and endlessly engaging with her content, doesn't actually make you look confident or appealing. What it truly does is scream, I'm always here, desperately waiting for you to notice me. You're not actually standing out in any meaningful way, you're simply solidifying your position as the perennial backup guy, the one she always subconsciously knows will always be around, but never the one she truly desires. So, what's the most effective move in this scenario? Detach completely. Consciously stop obsessing over what she's currently doing or with whom she's spending her time. Allow her to actively wonder about you for a change. Be the type of guy who's so demonstrably busy living his own fulfilling life that she consciously starts to notice your deliberate absence. That's how you definitively flip the dynamic. Instead of relentlessly feeding her ego by always acting as her captivated audience, make her realize that you're the one in control and that you are a man of significant value. Consciously focus your limited energy on cultivating your own life and genuinely improving yourself, and let her be the one consistently wondering what you're up to. That's how you effectively win the game. Master the art of subtle mystery. Without being obvious, let's talk about the fourth powerful strategy for making a woman miss you. It's not just about cultivating a mysterious persona or consciously trying to make her jealous, it's about skillfully playing with her mind on a level that she doesn't even consciously recognize. But here's the important caveat: women are generally sharp, intelligent, and remarkably perceptive. They can easily spot blatant manipulation from a mile away, particularly when it's overwhelmingly obvious that you're desperately trying to make them feel jealous. Here's the fundamental mistake that most guys inadvertently make: they overdo it. They excessively brag about how many dates they've recently been on or blatantly flaunt the number of women who are supposedly pursuing them. Big mistake. Instead of successfully making her feel jealous, you're simply making yourself look pathetically desperate and transparently insecure. She'll immediately recognize that you're fishing for a reaction, and instead of feeling drawn to you, she's more likely thinking, "Wow, he's trying way too hard." As a result, she suddenly feels like she's the one firmly in control, and guess what? You've lost the game before it even truly started. So, how do you do it right? It's remarkably simple: master the art of subtle mystery. Don't feel compelled to spill every single intimate detail of your daily life on social media. Instead, strategically post just enough intriguing content to make her genuinely curious, but not enough to fully satisfy her curiosity. For example, skip the cliché selfie at the club with a group of random people. Instead, opt for a more subtle shot, such as 2 glasses of wine sitting on a table or an atmospheric photo of a concert crowd with no immediately identifiable people in the frame. She'll subconsciously see it and immediately think, "Wait, who's he with? What's actually going on?" That tiny, carefully calibrated bit of mystery will inevitably eat away at her conscious awareness. Here's the fascinating thing: women inherently love to consciously fill in the blanks. If she doesn't consciously know the full story, her imagination will effortlessly do all the work for you. Is he seeing someone new? Is he genuinely happier now that we're apart? Is he out on a date? The more unanswered questions swirling around in her mind, the more time and energy she's consciously dedicating to thinking about you. And that's precisely the strategic goal. Another pro move is to master the art of skillful understatement. If she happens to directly ask about your weekend, consciously avoid oversharing or revealing too much information. Simply keep it relatively vague and say something along the lines of, "Oh, I had a great time skiing." Don't feel the need to specifically mention who you were with. Consciously let her mind wander and attempt to fill in those blanks. Was it a date? Was he just with his male friends? Was he on a family trip? The delicious uncertainty will inevitably drive her crazy. Some people will undoubtedly tell you that this is simply playing games, and that you should just be upfront and honest about everything. However, here's the hard truth: a small dose of mystery and controlled tension inevitably keeps things far more exciting. If you're an open book all of the time, the spark of attraction will inevitably fade quickly. Predictability is the ultimate buzzkill in romance. So, forget posting flashy photos or trying too hard to show off how much fun you're supposedly having. Instead, make a conscious effort to keep her guessing. The less she consciously knows, the more she'll unconsciously want to figure you out. And when she's consistently wondering what you're currently up to, that's when she'll truly start to genuinely miss you. Introduce healthy competition. Let's dive into the final set of game-changing strategies. This is where things can really become interesting. We've already covered the art of jealousy, the power of subtle mystery, and the inherent importance of self-mastery. But now, it's time to effectively crank things up a notch with a little dose of carefully controlled competition. This is where the real magic truly kicks in. Here's a somewhat controversial secret that most people won't openly share with you: a woman typically won't start to meaningfully miss you unless she actively feels like she's starting to lose your attention to something or someone else. If she's always secure in the knowledge that she's your consistent number one priority, all of the time, the game is essentially already over. However, if she subconsciously feels like she has to actively work to consistently earn your valuable focus, now that's a whole different story. The underlying trick is relatively simple: skillfully introduce something new into your life that legitimately takes up a significant portion of your time and energy. It could be a new hobby you've been wanting to pursue, an exciting new social group you've become involved with, or even another person who has genuinely caught your romantic interest. The key is this: you can't consciously afford to be too readily available to her at a moment's notice. If you're always at her beck and call, she'll inevitably sense it, and as a result, she'll never truly feel the inherent need to consciously fight for your valuable attention. But now imagine this radically different scenario. Instead of sitting at home every Friday night, passively scrolling through her Instagram feed and anxiously awaiting her text message, you're consciously out doing something that genuinely lights you up from within. Maybe you've proactively joined a local rock climbing group, taken up lively salsa dancing, or even started traveling and exploring new places with a whole new group of exciting people. Suddenly, you're no longer just the guy who's predictably waiting around for her next text message. You're the undeniably intriguing guy who's consciously living a life so full and exciting that she inevitably feels like she might be seriously missing out. Here's precisely why this particular strategy works so effectively. Women are fundamentally wired to innately want what they consciously can't easily have. When she sees that you're genuinely thriving, growing, and experiencing fulfilling adventures without her consistent presence, it inevitably triggers a nagging little voice in her subconscious mind. Wait, why isn't he thinking about me anymore? Who else is he giving his valuable time and attention to? That's when the powerful force of competition instinctively kicks in, and she'll undoubtedly feel the underlying pull to actively fight for her place back in your life. And here's the absolutely best part of the entire equation: you're not actually playing manipulative games or disingenuously pretending to be busy, you're genuinely creating a life that you consciously love and are actively proud to live. That undeniable authenticity is precisely what makes this strategy so incredibly powerful. She'll naturally see that you're not merely acting as a backup plan for her convenience. You're someone who is legitimately in high demand, actively pursuing your passions, and authentically living your best life. And nothing consistently draws genuine attention quite like that. So, step up your game significantly. Don't passively wait for her to notice you, actively give her a real, tangible reason to notice you. Actively show her that you're not simply there, passively waiting for her, you're skillfully out there consciously winning at the game of life. That's how you definitively turn the tables and make her realize that she, in fact, might just be the one consciously chasing you. Be a different man. Here's the sixth masterful move to drastically change the entire game: consciously strive to be a different man. This particular strategy is akin to flipping the script in a captivating movie, rendering the entire storyline completely unexpected and virtually impossible to ignore. Women often subconsciously expect certain familiar behaviors from the men they interact with, particularly if they've previously enjoyed the upper hand in the relationship dynamic. But guess what? You're proactively about to rewrite the unspoken rules of engagement. First and foremost, deliberately stop being so readily predictable in your actions. Don't feel the persistent urge to automatically reply to every text message the second it arrives. Consciously stop bending over backward to shower her with all of your valuable time and attention. The secret here is remarkably simple: intentionally start living entirely for you. Focus your limited energy on pursuing your unique goals, nurturing your deepest passions, and consciously fostering your ongoing personal growth. Even better, proactively change up your appearance in some meaningful way. If you've consistently been clean-shaven, try growing a neatly trimmed beard. If you've previously stuck exclusively to relatively casual outfits, surprise her by stepping out in a strikingly sharp, well-tailored suit. These types of conscious changes might initially seem small and relatively insignificant, but they can speak volumes on a subconscious level. They send a clear, unmistakable message: I'm definitively not the same predictable guy you thought you once intimately knew. When you demonstrably evolve, both in how you physically present yourself and how you consciously act, it drastically shakes up the established dynamic. Suddenly, you're no longer the readily predictable guy she thought she had perfectly figured out. You're someone subtly intriguing, someone captivatingly new, and someone who's inherently worthy of a second, far more intentional look. And here's the often overlooked thing: people are naturally, instinctively drawn to what they can't fully understand or immediately categorize. That subtle spark of underlying mystery will inevitably have her consciously wondering what else might be fundamentally different about you now. Eliminate subtle mistakes. Let's take it to the next level with the seventh game-changing strategy: consciously eliminate subtle but pervasive mistakes. This one move can be a complete game changer for your romantic prospects. Far too many guys inadvertently fall back into old, self-defeating habits, mistakenly thinking they're being charming, engaging, or thoughtful. However, those very same unconscious habits are often what unconsciously sabotage them. Let's be brutally real with ourselves for a moment. Are you inherently too eager to please? Do you reflexively text back the very second she sends you a message, regardless of what you're currently doing? Do you habitually agree with absolutely everything she says, even if you secretly disagree? These seemingly innocuous little behavioral patterns might initially seem harmless on the surface, but they consistently scream, "I'm still the same easily controllable guy you've always consciously known me to be." Here's the fix: consciously take a significant step back. Consciously stop giving away your inherent power by being overly available to her or habitually agreeable to her ideas. The moment you skillfully start setting appropriate boundaries and confidently standing your ground, everything organically changes. You subtly but effectively shift the established balance of power, and she'll undoubtedly notice the subtle shift. So, let's now bring all of these seemingly disparate pieces together into a cohesive strategy. To recap, focus on consciously introducing a bit of healthy competition into your life. Relentlessly focus on becoming the very best version of yourself that you're capable of being, and diligently drop those old, self-sabotaging habits that keep you consciously stuck in the same frustrating patterns. These aren't just random superficial tricks or manipulative games, they're powerful, proven ways to fundamentally transform how you proactively show up, not only in your romantic relationships, but in virtually every area of your life. And when you consciously do this, trust me, you won't just subtly make her miss you, you'll become genuinely unforgettable in her mind. But, let me get truly real with you for a moment. These steps aren't solely about making her miss you. They're fundamentally about proactively creating a version of yourself that even you are deeply proud to consciously miss. When you later look back at how far you've purposefully come, when you fully apply these conscious principles, you're not desperately chasing anyone's external validation. You're skillfully mastering your own inherent value from the inside out. Here's where the profound wisdom of Stoicism seamlessly comes into the picture. The Stoics consistently taught us to primarily focus our limited energy and attention on what is directly within our conscious control and to consciously let go of everything that is inherently not. Think practically about that seemingly simple, yet transformative principle: you can't directly control her thoughts, her feelings, or her conscious decisions. However, you can exert a significant degree of control over your own actions, your intentional personal growth, and the underlying energy you proactively bring into virtually any type of relationship. When you consciously master this powerful mindset, you fundamentally stop trying to desperately make her miss you. Instead, you naturally create an environment where she can't possibly help but consciously notice your calculated absence. That's the true power of living consciously, intentionally, and authentically. Beyond romantic relationships and the unforgettable self. This isn't solely about romantic relationships or potential partners. This is about purposefully showing up in every area of your life as someone who innately commands respect, consciously radiates genuine confidence, and proactively builds meaningful connections that are solidly based on unwavering authenticity. Just imagine for a moment how powerfully it would inherently feel to consciously walk into any room or confidently face any challenging situation, knowing with absolute certainty that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. That feeling of inner peace and quiet self-assurance is precisely what you'll progressively cultivate when you consciously shift your primary focus back to proactively cultivating your own self-worth. So, let me consciously ask you this: what's the very first step you're going to purposefully take today? Are you going to consciously start by proactively leveling up a valuable skill? Skillfully cutting out some toxic habits that keep subtly pulling you back into self-defeating patterns? Or perhaps simply taking a quiet moment to deliberately reflect on precisely the type of person you consciously want to become? Consciously drop your answer in the comments below, because I genuinely want to read your insightful thoughts. Your conscious journey will undoubtedly inspire not only me, but also every other conscious member of this supportive community. And hey, if this video has sincerely resonated with you on a deeper level, do me a small favor and consciously hit that subscribe button and intentionally turn on notifications. You're not just helping the channel grow, you're demonstrating a conscious commitment to your own personal growth, and this is truly just the beginning of a much larger, more meaningful conversation. We have so much more to consciously explore together, and I genuinely promise that the next video will consciously raise the bar even higher. Until then, stay focused on the long-term path ahead, remain firmly grounded in your core values, and consistently remember that the conscious person you're proactively becoming is undeniably far more important than the somewhat limited person you're actively leaving behind. Let's consciously make it happen.